let me tell you what I love about cotton cuts and the puzzle mystery quilt. They are like, they will lead you right to the water. They can't make you drink, but they can lead you right to the water. So they make it so easy for you to finish a quilt.
So tell us, Beth, you are participating in the Tree of Life Puzzle Mystery Quilt, and you have selected the colorway Olive Grove.
It's gorgeous. Let me just say that. I literally last month, I guess this month, I was like, Austin, look at this fabric. Look at it. Look at it. No, really, look at it real close. Isn't this beautiful? And then I also signed up and I bought a whole other kit. So I'm doing 2 colorways. I'm doing one as an ambassador with you guys and one personally on the side.
Tree of Life makes for 10 puzzle mystery quilts that I have been going on, which is almost as long as y'all have been going. And I could not have imagined the journey that I've been on, and it's just been such a great one. So again, thank you. I always try to thank you. Thank you for believing in me and helping me get started in the puzzle mystery quilt. And I could not imagine my quilting journey without it.
This is part of the fun things that we've added with you is that can Ian guess the final layout? And so we've been doing this 15, 16 times, 2,000 people every time. Like, it's huge. And I think in all that time, you were the only one that's ever gotten really close. So if there is someone that is debating whether or not to join the puzzle mystery quilt, what would you tell them? Why should they get on this bus?
Never do it. Never do it, because you're going to get addicted. You will get addicted to them. I can't stop doing the puzzle mystery quilts. They are just so much fun. Even if I wasn't an ambassador, I would be jumping in and working on these because they're so easy. You just have to spend a little bit of time. The no cutting part, I know I think every single ambassador in the preview, I think somebody talked about not cutting. Every single ambassador talks about the not cutting part, but it is so much nicer to just sit and sew.
The big reveal's coming. The big reveal's coming.
The big reveal's coming.
The big reveal is coming.
There's a big reveal coming?
Oh, good morning, good morning, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Good morning, everybody. It is 9:30 Thursday, Cotton Cuts time. I appreciate you all for joining us. Thank you, guys. I love watching those little intro videos that Paula puts together for us. I love seeing Yvette. I love seeing Ian. I love seeing Beth. You guys, they're so much fun. They're awesome people, and I'm so glad that they're helping us create awesome content for everybody. So good morning. Happy Thursday. I don't know where you are. It's all of a sudden cold in St. Louis again, people. I used to like spring, and then I don't like 40 degrees and rain. But the wind, it just feels like it just needs to be 3 weeks in the future when it's consistently spring instead of this fake. So, oh my gosh, good morning, everybody. I see you guys all checking in with everybody. Oh my gosh, thanks everyone for joining us. Don't forget, if you're joining us on Facebook or on YouTube, be sure to accept the terms and conditions so we can see your lovely names. So good morning, Jana. Good morning, Catherine. I like this one, Pastry Queens Farm Adventures. Good morning. Good morning, Janet Needland. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, So Terry. Thank you guys all for joining us. We have a fantastic show today. We're going to talk about the Spirit Program. One of my favorites. We're going to kind of go back and kind of revisit the why. I am going to show you this month's block, guys. Like, the team hit it out of the park. It is crazy. Good morning from Dallas, Texas, Sarah Abundis. Okay, so we're going to start, as we do every week, with questions that have been submitted by you. These are handed to me. The papers were here when I sat down. I'm going to hope I can continue to answer them. You guys keep challenging me. I love it. I love learning new stuff. I love learning from you guys. Good morning from Greensboro, North Carolina, Susan. Okay, so head to cottoncuts.com/live to submit a question. So the first question comes today from Miss Mickey Hall from St. Paul, Minnesota. Good morning, Mickey. Thanks so much for joining us. Hello, I just found your website. Welcome. We've got a pretty cool crew here. I'm a beginner in quilting, and I get confused on how to read a quilting ruler so I can cut the fabrics correctly. I am a senior female. Thanks for your help and have a wonderful day. Okay, so Mickey, this is a fantastic question. And I think a lot of people kind of guess as to how to use a quilting ruler. And for me personally, I've been sewing since I was 8, quilting since I was 13. And I learned how to use a quilting ruler correctly maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Guys, this is one of these things that it depends on how precise of a quilter you want to be. Do you want to be a quilter that is, hey, it's close enough, and if I am running by on a horse, it looks great, then you don't need to worry about this so much. But if you're just learning and you read those instructions and it says your piece needs to finish 4.5 by 4.5, and you want to be compliant with those instructions, then learning how to use your ruler is one of the most important first steps. And so it's how we train the folks here in the shop whenever we need to use a ruler and a rotary cutter. And that is that you have to get the line, the printed line you're cutting on top of the fabric. Like, it doesn't need to be on the side of the fabric. You don't need to see fabric on the other side, but you want to get the actual printed line on top of your fabric. I know a lot of people, like, here's my line, they'll put the fabric right up next to it. You actually want it to be on top of, but not past. Also, whenever you're using your ruler, you want to make sure that you apply continuous pressure on it. So when you're cutting, you don't accidentally veer off to the side. This is one of the first things I almost have to untrain quilters whenever we're working here in the shop. Is me as a quilter, I'm using my ruler, I cut, and I'm totally fine, just kind of veering off on the end because I get past my reach and I veer off. And so what we teach our folks here in the shop to do is cut about halfway. Don't lift anything, walk your fingers forward and continue to press so that strip is the same length all the way top to bottom. We also have cheaters on our rulers here in the shop. They're kind of sticky sandpaper, and you can put them on the back of your ruler and it'll actually grip and hold the fabric as you're cutting it so it doesn't slide on you. It does make it hard to kind of move because you have to physically lift it. You can't slide it, which I know a lot of people like to do. You have to physically lift it because it does have that sticky sandpaper on it to make sure that it doesn't slide, twist, and turn on you. So Terry's saying, like, she frames her fabric. I think, we used to call it a keystone and a projector where, like, it gets small and kind of goes up. Same type of thing. When you cut it and you go off on an angle, you definitely want to make sure the full length of your ruler goes all the way top to bottom. Let's see here. So, and also one of the things I learned, Mickey, as well, when I was first starting to quilt, I trusted the measurements on my cutting mat. I actually was using that to cut and measure distances. And as I got further along, I learned, don't ever trust the units of measurement on your cutting mat. You can use it as a straight edge, but mats warp over time. They stretch, they bend, but when you cut them, it starts to get ambiguous. So definitely use your ruler as your measurement source of truth. The ruler is rigid. It's not going to warp over time. It's not going to change. But I used to use my cutting mat as my measurement. Definitely use your ruler. And I would say for small, precise measurements where you want to be real tight, use your ruler. If I'm measuring 18 inches, guys, I'm not getting an 18-inch ruler out and cutting it. I'm going to use my cutting mat. But if I am cutting a small, precise quilt, and it needs to be, 1.5 inches, 2.5, up to probably about 5 to 6 inches, make sure you're definitely using your ruler for those increments. And there's tons of content and video out there about Mickey. So if you want to watch someone who's actually going to show you how to use a ruler, search YouTube. There's lots of great folks out there putting content. But Mickey, that is a fantastic question. And it's something, we actually have to have training here in the shop to tell people how to use the rulers because it's such an art and a science. It's not as intuitive as you learn it in middle school science. Thank you, Mickey, for the question. All right, Kristen Guthrie from Raleigh, North Carolina asks, can you recommend the best iron for my fabric? All right, Kristen. Okay, so this is a fun question because irons is, so I'm going to come back to a comment. Always use your cutting mat to measure. Oops, Susan, you're going to be fine. It is not, it depends again on how precise of a quilter you want to be, if you're going to use your cutting mat to measure or not. Again, if you're running by on horse and you don't care, that's great. Use your cutting mat if it works for you. In theory, if you're doing something that you're going to enter in a show, you probably do want to use your ruler for that. Okay, so coming back to Kristen's question about the best iron for my fabric. Okay, so in this case, I would say the best iron for your fabric is the one that is the most reliable and the one that you can afford. I have seen irons, and I never thought in my lifetime I would see this. I've seen irons in a couple $100, guys. That's a lot of money for an iron. I am going to open the kimono and tell you I use the Black & Decker iron that I got for like $20, $30 at Target. And so for me, I know that there's a lot of bells and whistles that come into irons these days. I'm going to talk about it like we talked about the sewing machine, right? It's something, does it have an automatic off feature? For me, that is a must have. That iron needs to automatically turn off because I am horrible at remembering to unplug it every time. Does it have the option to have steam and no steam? For quilters, that is really, really, really important. We talked a couple weeks ago about anytime you enter liquid into an environment with heat and pressure, that fabric can stretch. My iron that I use to quilt has been dry for about 10 years. I don't put any liquid in it at all. I keep it totally dry. Here in the shop, we actually have, we put distilled water into our irons. We do that just because we get fabrics that have a lot of heavy creases and the steam helps us get them out. But this is something, if you're piecing, you definitely want to kind of keep water away from it. And so find irons that have a steam on and off. Not all of them do, for sure. I would also say make sure to get the right size iron for your project. And so I've seen a lot of mini travel irons. And so I actually have one that I take with me to retreat because nobody wants to chug their, big household iron. And if it has water in it, it's going to leak everywhere. And so I would say the best iron is the one that fits your project, meets your minimum requirements, make sure it has different temperature settings. I sometimes, sew with off materials like a jersey or a silk, and you definitely want a cooler iron for that. And I've even known some people, guys, that have never actually bought a clothes iron and quilt because they use their Cricut heat and press. And so that works too, right? That works for them. Let's see here. So I'm reading comments. So Mary Edelman says she's never ever put water in her iron. I think that's the right way to go. We actually get rust build up in some of our irons here in the shop, and we have to clean them pretty frequently because that water sits in there, it burns and it creates rust. Terry says she has to have the auto shut off. That is key, guys. That is definitely something you're going to want to have because accidents happen and you don't want to set anything on fire. I know now they have irons that have kind of the automatic lift and you keep them vertical. That to me, especially with kids in the house, is kind of a little terrifying because I think one of them might walk away and leave it down. But again, if it works for you, if you don't have to worry about kids, if you don't have to worry about pets, then definitely keep going with that. Judy uses distilled water. I think that's a fantastic. Get that jug and it's going to last you a long time. Catherine, hey, so she's upgraded her pressing mat to wool, and so she doesn't need steam anymore. So Catherine, that also works. So why would you use a wool mat? We can kind of dive down that a little bit. Wool mats are used because they retain heat better than an ironing board. And so when you actually press the heat into the wool mat, it's going to retain the heat and it's going to help set that steam better than steam would because it's using the heat element and not the steam element. And so wool mats have grown in popularity. I know when they first came out, they kind of smelled, they were a little weird. But wool mats now are very, very popular. And so Catherine, that is a great tip. That wool mat is going to retain that heat to help get you a better press than a steam would. Greta likes her cordless. Dominic actually won a cordless iron at our guild holiday party one year. He loves it. He swears by it. He likes the cordless as well. So Greta, you're with Dominic on that one. Okay. All right. So fantastic questions, guys. I love this conversation. You guys, I love all your comments as well. So thank you, Kristen, for the iron topic. So if you want to ask a question for us to talk about and discuss here on the live, cottonpets.com/live, submit a question and we will read it next week. All right, let's see here. So we're going to have a giveaway. We're actually going to give away a spirit quilt this week. So you're going to want to hang out until the end of the show. You're going to get a baby quilt in your 2 colors of choice in our new design. So hang out with me till the end. All right, so what's happening around the shop this week? Tree of Life. Clue 3 is shipping on Friday. My gosh, it feels like we just started talking about the Tree of Life and the cool little logo and the designs. But Clue 3 ships Friday, which means our signups are coming to a close. So it is time for you guys. If you've been indecisive, we're going to put it in the vault. And so we are literally going to close signups because it is time for us to start preparing for our next mystery. If you guys can believe it, we're already starting to talk about fall 2024. It is crazy. I cannot believe time is flying by so fast. But if you want to sign up for Tree of Life, you only have a couple more days to go. Oh my gosh, so Terry, thank you. So she has a friend who needed help with the PMQ, and Dominic, my 12-year-old's video helped. Thanks so much, Terry. I'll make sure to tell him that. All right. If you sign up today, you're going to get clues 1, 2, and 3 and be caught up with everyone else. We always, with all of our blocks of the month, believe in keeping everyone on the same schedule. So if you sign up today, don't worry about, you're going to be behind. We get you caught up as quickly as we possibly can because we want everyone on the ride together. And we want everyone to finish the quilt at the same time. It's much more fun that way. I don't know about you. I've joined blocks of the month where I am consistently 2 to 3 months behind. It's not great. It's not fun. We want everyone to have the most fun possible, so we get you caught up. All right. Paula wants me to remind everyone, Carnival. Gosh, if you guys remember Carnival, that big reveal is coming up, guys. April 26th. It is always a big show. We do it on a Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. We bring in special guests. We bring in Sheila from New Zealand, who's our designer. We bring in some special ambassadors, and I'm going to kind of blow a little secret, but Ian might have something to share with everybody that day. So definitely come in and join us. As we all know, Ian Off Kilter Quilter, Ian is Off Quilter Crafter, excuse me. Ian, he every year tries to guess the final answer. So we'll see if he can actually do it this year. Let's see here. And we'll also be giving a sneak peek of our next PMQ. All right. We do have some Carnival whole quilts. So if you're seeing some colorways come together, those are on the website. When those are gone, guys. That's all we can do. So definitely make sure to join that mystery if you would like. Oh, I actually have something really cool to share. So this month, our featured designer for cotton cuts for our classic and modern maker boxes is Stephanie from Quilt Addicts Anonymous. So we've talked a lot about how for cotton cuts, we like to support other people. We like to grow businesses. We like to see our YouTube ambassadors grow their channels, all boats float. We are super supportive of a lot of folks in the quilting and the crafting industry. And so Stephanie actually, she owns Quilt Addicts Anonymous. So that used to be a fabric subscription box. And so she had a huge YouTube channel. She put together content. She designed patterns. And she made the decision to close down her subscription business, right? This happens. This is part of owning a company. Sometimes it grows. Sometimes you decide to shut it down. Sometimes you pivot. Everyone has reasons for this. And so I know a lot of companies would have looked at her as a competitor. We've looked at her as a partner, right? Stephanie is great. She is really wicked talented. If you have not checked out Quilt Addicts Anonymous, you guys got to run over there. You got to do it today. She is designing patterns now, and we're featuring her as a pattern designer. And if you sign up for a classic and modern maker, you're going to get a free pattern from Stephanie. She is awesome. We're actually talking to her live on Tuesday at 9:30. So join us on Tuesday and we'll chat away. And I'm sure we'll chat about, the joys of owning a subscription business, as well as her super impactful decision to kind of pivot and change what she wants to do with her life. So thank you, Stephanie, so much for being our designer. You guys are going to love her. All right. Cotton Cuts Cares. Okay, so every month we pick a new organization to partner with. And this month we are picking Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And so this is an organization that came to Quilt Market. So Quilt Market is a place where quilt shop owners from all across the United States come together. And they actually had a booth. And it was interesting. They're an organization that builds beds for children that are homeless or children that don't have beds to sleep in on their own. So they're a bunch of carpenters. They're a bunch of woodworkers. They build the beds. They have chapters all across the United States, but they needed bedding. And so they're not sewers. They're not crafters. They're not quilters. And so they came to the place where they could find the people that could partner with them to put the two pieces together. And so we are excited to partner with them this month. And so we are going to be donating $5 of every classic, modern, maker, and Java membership for this month to their organization to help them build the beds. But stay tuned next week, and we're going to talk about a challenge for the way we can organize our quilters to help build the bedding that they're putting on the beds to help children who don't have a place to sleep. I mean, guys, think about it. What if, there was a child that was sleeping in a sleeping bag on a floor, right? Everyone wins when we help organizations like this. And so we are very proud to partner with them. Yes, they were at Quilt Festival as well, Pastry Queen. They're doing a great job, guys, right? They're trying to get to the people that can help them do more and do better. And so we love supporting organizations like that. Okay, so this week we are talking about our Spirit program. So I know we launched Spirit around the first of this year. It was kind of a crazy week. Every day we were doing lives. I had my kids here. They were awesome. They were, all sorts of shenanigans were happening around the first of the year. But I thought it was a good time for us to kind of revisit why we do this program and how it could possibly work for you. So years ago, I was told by one of my sales reps that children liked to color quilts, solid quilts. They liked quilting with solids. That when they were looking at places where they sold the most solid fabrics, it was with places that were doing quilting with kids. And it's because kids, in their preteen, teenish phase, it's really hard for them to get behind florals, and it's really hard for them to get behind different prints and different things that most adult quilters like. But they can gravitate towards two color quilts because they're solids. So there's no right side, there's no wrong side. And solids are great because they oftentimes go to schools and they're really used to seeing two colors come together, or they have a sports team where two teams come together. And so those two colors coming together are often really easy for beginners and kids to sew towards. And so we're like, maybe there's something here. Maybe we can bring the concept of this two color design with our die cutting ability, right? We die cut well. We've said 75, 100,000 parts and pieces a month. This is something our team does well. Maybe we can bring something together and create a program where every quarter we design a new block. It can be simple, it can be complex, but it is something where we will send you everything you need. It'll all be die cut. You can just sit and sew. You can grab this with a kid. I am going to do this with my nephew. He's 5 and his favorite colors are blue and green. And so I'm going to teach him how to use a sewing machine. Everything's going to be pre-cut, so we don't have to worry about all the ruler stuff. We don't have to worry about the rotary cutter. He's just going to sit at a sewing machine and sew pieces together, and he is going to have a quilt that he has made himself. That's a huge accomplishment, guys. I think when we're teaching kids how to sew, it's so easy to get stuck into what are you going to do with it versus I am just sewing, right? And I feel like kids feel accomplishment when they're just sewing. And I think it's the adults that come in and are like, what are you going to do with it? And I think the Spirit program kind of bridges the gap. It's okay, we're going to sew. And what are you going to do with it? I don't know. It doesn't matter, right? I am sewing and I am going to make a quilt that is in two colors that I love and in two colors that are meaningful to me. And so we launched the Spirit program. Our first design was an hourglass. We had a whole bunch of different blocks and they were made in college themes. We just this past week launched our second design. Okay, Christine, I'm going to come back to you with a question that you just submitted on Instagram. But we just launched our second design. And so it's a double star. So we went with something that was kind of easy for the first one, just kind of putting it on the space. Then we designed something more complex. And when we were thinking about this, we're like, we do die cutting well. And we wanted to come up with something that we kind of take all the cutting pieces out of it and we could give you a complex design that you could sew relatively quickly and just in time for graduation. I'm not going to lie, graduations are coming up next month. If you want a quick project, this will work out really well. We all know people, my 8th grader, he is all in on this, like, I'm graduating 8th grade. It's a big deal. I'm like, okay. So I guess we've got kindergarten graduations, 8th grade graduations, high school graduations, college graduations, grad school graduations, all that's coming up at this time of year. Okay. So when we created this double star, we created a double star inspiration page. And so I'm going to have Paula put that up on the YouTube and on the Facebook pages. And so we wanted to kind of show two colors coming together because in the page that we've created on Spirit, you have to pick color 1, color 2, and then there's a digital image of what the quilt looks like. So you can pick, I want the first color to be pink and the second color to be black, and it'll actually show you the image of what the quilt looks like right there. We picked some of our favorites because we have a lot of colors. When we were picking colors for what we wanted to put in Spirit, I actually did research on the most common Letterman jacket colors, if you can believe it. There's actually websites that'll show you Letterman's jackets and the most common colors that are used. And so we call that alma mater. I was thinking about my 5-year-old nephew in this quilt I'm going to sew, and his color reference is all Crayola crayon. And so that's why we created the rainbow for the kids who's like, my favorite color is this favorite color of crayon that I use at school. And then we went neon because Paula, who we talk about, who we haven't seen in front of the camera, she has a baseball team that's black and neon pink. And I was like, well, surely we need to make sure that, representing all the teams. And so black and neon pink is her son's color. We've had a question submitted on Instagram about having trouble visualizing two of the colors together. And so when you go to the website, you can sit there and you can play with color one and color two, and it'll actually show you what the colors are going to be. We've picked our favorites for the inspiration page, but we've created all the digital images for all the two colors together. We are actually in the next 3 months going to be coming up with a swatch sample program. So that way, if you were like, hey, I don't know if this maroon is the same maroon as my college, or if this light blue is the same light blue as this high school, or, I want to be sure I can match the crayons together, we're actually going to send you swatches of what some of these fabrics are to make sure you color match and make sure that if you're giving this as a gift to the person that receives it is as happy as possible. Okay, Paula, in her infinite wisdom, wanted me to show you guys what the new double star block is in an actual picture fashion. Okay, so I am going to very carefully move this over. Guys, this block that we've designed this quarter is huge. It is 18 inches by 18 inches. It is a big one. Like I said, the first one we went really simple, very repetitive. This one we went more complex. And so I wanted to show everyone what this is. Guys, that's a lot of parts and pieces. I don't know about you, but if I am making a queen with this, I am going to spend 3 months just cutting out all this fabric, right? Ironing, pressing. We're going to do all that for you so you can lay it out. And I've written the instructions for this such that you can sit and mass produce this and get that project done. Guys, I'm all about getting projects done. I hate having work in progress. And so by doing all that die cutting, you can just sit and sew, and you can put together this amazingly intricate design in a weekend and then have it quilted and have it gifted and ready to go for May. Looking at some of the comments, the new block every quarter. That's one of those things we want to kind of keep it fresh, right? And just make sure that we're going to try and vary it up. Some will be more complex, some will be easier, some will be big blocks. Like this one is an 18 by 18. That's a big block. The first block was 6 by 6. We want to make sure that we're definitely changing things up. Yeah, Terry, I love this block. And so these colors, in case you guys are curious, so this is royal blue and Columbia blue. This is one of the ones we actually rendered for the website because I thought it looked so pretty. I'm going to hold it up a little higher so Instagram can actually see it in the screen. This one was one that I thought was really pretty, and I wanted to get it die cut and show you guys. I think next week we'll try and stitch it together, so you guys can actually see what I mean. It's a big one, but by doing bigger blocks, they actually go together a little faster when you're actually doing that final assembly, which is all important in the finishing project. Oh, and I also did want to talk the new design. The way we've designed it is there's going to be a block A, and then the inverse is block B. And so it's the second block is everything just switched in colors. And so it's a lot of fun. It looks complex, but all the cutting is done for you. So you don't have to worry about that at all. All right. So in order to be entered to win a free small spirit and your baby size spirit in the 2 colors of your choice, find this video wherever you're watching it and leave a comment. Tell us what were your high school colors. I know for some of us that's closer than others, but tell us what were your high school colors, and we'll pick one random winner. You don't have to use those colors in the spirit quilt you win. You'll be able to pick whatever colors you want. I did also want to share something that came into the shop this week, pivoting and changing subjects. I got some happy mail this week into the shop. And so Cotton Cuts is always looking to partner with on Instagram. There's a lot of giveaways and a lot of swaps. And so we're always looking to partner and sponsor with people that are doing really cool things in a community building fashion. And so one of the swaps that we sponsored this past fall was from Sew a Little Happy on Instagram. And she was sponsoring a postcard swap, quilted postcard. These quilted postcards are all over the quilting world, guys. And you quilt the fronts and you can actually address the back and place it in the mail. And so she sponsored a postcard swap. She hosted, and then we sponsored, and we gave away gift cards at different checkpoints throughout the process. And then she actually quilted one and sent it to me. And so I'm so excited about this. This is the cutest thing, guys. And she actually wrote a little note to me about all the sponsoring of it. So definitely check out Sew a Little Happy. She's doing another swap hop on over, join. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to learn new skills and techniques. They do a lot of tutorials on how to actually create the different postcards that she had. So check her out, Sew a Little Happy on Instagram. And she wrote me a note, and I want to share it with everybody. And she says, "Thank you so much for reaching out and sponsoring my quilted postcard swaps. It motivated me to keep posting and being more creative." So thank you, Claudia. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get some more folks over. Oh, Janet participated in that swap. Yes, Janet, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was great. I'm glad. And this is just cute. This is going to sit on my desk, guys. I appreciate this. Sorry, I'm going to actually turn it the right way. And so it's actually a little cute little flower. Okay, with that, some quick reminders before we go. So the first thing is, don't forget to join us Tuesday at 9:30. We're going to talk to Stephanie. She's awesome. She's great. You guys are going to learn a lot and be inspired by her and her journey. She's great. Don't forget the big reveal is April 25th at 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time. What's that? April 26th, excuse me. It is Friday, April 26th at 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time. There'll be lots of fun. It'll be great. It'll be inspiring. We are then also going to be hosting a sew-in the day after for all of our detectives to gather and finish those quilts. Again, we like people finishing stuff. That is awesome. Don't forget Cotton Cuts Cares, and we'll see you next week on Thursday. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed everything, and we will talk soon. Bye now.